Good morning and welcome to the Kickstart. Hope that you had a incredibly blessed Easter weekend. We are going to get you updated on the latest and greatest going on in the healthcare and health insurance world. I am Harlon Pickett, your host. After almost 20 years in this industry, I feel like it is now part of my job to help keep you updated on what's going on so each of us can be better at what we do and help our clients in a better way. After our 30-second countdown, we'll get started. Good morning. Hope everyone is having a blessed Monday morning so far. My name is Harlon Pickett. I'll be your host today. I do this every single week, Monday, 10 a.m. Central Time, keeping you updated on what's going on in our industry. If you ever have any questions, don't forget to put those in the chat. You can also, if you just have some comments, we'll be happy to address those as the show goes along. Once again, we certainly appreciate you being here. The first thing that we want to talk about today is the final rule was released on short-term medical and indemnity plans. Now, the short-term medical has been talked about a long time. The rule changes really became a big deal, I guess you can say, back in the Trump administration whenever they were expanded to 12 months with the possibility of a 36-month period where you did not have to re-enroll. Well, this is a dramatic shift from that. And I do mean dramatic because now those short-term plans will be limited to 3 months with a possible adding one more. So no more than 4 months in any 12-month period of time can you have one of these. I guess there's some ways you may be able to get around it by going with different carriers, but the carrier is restricted. Any company, no matter if it's, if it's somebody that is tied together, they cannot, if it's owned by one company, they cannot write your family, a plan for more than that 4 months during a 12-month period of time. So you may be able to jump around to different short-term plans to get a greater time period, but it's going to be a lot more difficult for that to happen. Now, it's short-term plans have certainly had a great run, and I believe there's a really important place for them for a number of people. But once again, the government's push to get everyone on Obamacare or on one of the government-funded type plans, that is what this is all behind. Don't be mistaken here. Their rhetoric about junk health plans, that is just simply not the case. Most of the folks that are on short-term plans know exactly what they have. And yes, there is some folks that may not have listened, or they may have went out and bought it on their own and did not pay attention to the fine print, which many people do on insurance, right? But the bottom line is this. These are true insurance plans. They have a certain definition of how much they'll pay. I mean, think about your auto policy. It's only going to pay so much, right? You decide how much coverage you want for that. Well, these offer the same type thing. And then they're also going to provide you the coverage that you wanted. Did you want copays to go see the doctor, or did you want none of that? You just wanted catastrophic coverage. They're going to have that. And the other part is they're underwritten. Of course, one of the things that they like to talk about is that they are discriminating. These plans discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions. Now, hold on a second. That's not discrimination. That's called underwriting. Wow, what a novel concept. Something that is underwritten, and it's an insurance product. What many people have lost focus of is that the Affordable Care Act plans, these plans that are on the marketplace and there is no underwriting to them, those don't even meet the definition of insurance anymore because there is no sharing of the risk. All of the risk goes to the carrier, and all of the risk, is, at least financially, goes to us as the public because everyone must be treated as if they are sick at the highest level. So that really takes out when there's no underwriting, when there's no look at what's going on with you, that means that there's no way for the insurance company to really determine what your rates would be. That's what these plans did. So the fact that you would call them junk insurance just means you don't really understand what insurance is to begin with. And once again, there's always the confusion of what is healthcare versus health insurance. The government still doesn't understand this. And that's the biggest problem as all of these things is they want to make health insurance plans actually have you compare it to health insurance, that you must have one to get the other. That ain't the case, folks. You want to know more about that? You don't understand that part of it, that you think you have to have health insurance to have health care. Reach out to me. I'd love to have that conversation with you. I think you'll be surprised what it could really mean to you by not having health insurance take care of those day-to-day needs. Another part of this was that indemnity plans, and then we're talking about the group side of indemnity plans now. This was already out there for your individual indemnity plans. They must have a consumer disclosure form letting them know it's not comprehensive coverage. That's a good deal because indemnity plans were never meant to be comprehensive coverage. Again, people that get on these are usually it's a supplemental benefit, or once again, maybe they can't afford a full health plan, and so so something is better than nothing. Again, government not understanding why people are using these plans, and in this case, it really will help a lot of businesses that cannot afford to offer health plans, or the employees that cannot afford to get them, because the way that the companies, insurance companies do, as far as the number of people that are participating, many times a company cannot afford to offer something because of low participation. Indemnity plans at least give them an option to offer something. As long as it's disclosed, there'll be no major changes in that. One other thing I want to touch on. So Health and Human Services also released a final rule that makes applying and renewing coverage for Medicaid and CHIPS easier for families. They're standardizing it nationwide. Obviously, after the complete cluster that the Medicaid unwinding has been, it's not surprising that this happened because it has been such a mess. Over 19 million people have lost their Medicaid coverage across the country because it's been absolutely ridiculous. Most of that is because of procedural reasons. So this may be a good thing because obviously the states have got things all discombobulated. Here in the state of Texas, over half of the Medicaid population has been disenrolled, over half. And the vast majority of those because of procedural things. So we'll see what happens in this in the long run, but this was kind of a no-brainer that this was going to happen, quite honestly. One of the other big things in this rule is it bars states from conducting renewals more frequently than 12 months. So now you've had some states that were doing it 3, even 6 months, and now they can't do that anymore. Now they have to wait 12 months. So it's going to be an annual renewal for families to see what it looks like if they qualify for Medicaid and for CHIPS. There's a few other small little things in there that kind of affected a transition from Medicaid to CHIPS and back and forth there. But overall, that's the high points of that rule. One other thing that also happened is the Biden administration did a rule through CMS to extend the ACA sign-up window for those losing Medicaid. Once again, we talked about over 19 million people that were being affected by that. So that is another big deal there. That is no surprise here. That was put to November 30th. So until November 30th, you will still have that special enrollment period to sign up for an ACA plan without any problems with all of that. It was set for July 31st. Now it is set for November 30th. Once again, any questions about that, reach out to us, guys. If you don't understand why that would apply to you or what really matters, broker, individual, employer, if you want to know why that matters, reach out to us. You can find us at eaglecare.com and be happy to answer any questions that you may have. All right, moving on. So claim denials. Claim denials are a big deal, obviously, right? We've got a lot of folks that talk about claim denials all the time. claim denials are not a fun thing to go through, but a recent study by Premier really talks about the plethora that we're seeing now of claim denials. Nearly 15% of all claims submitted to payers for reimbursement are initially denied. Either 15%. That's crazy. But I think the staggering part of this, though, was that many of those were actually pre-approved. Wait, what? You told me it was okay to do this? I went ahead and did it, and now you're still denying the claim? This is nuts. I went through the prior authorization that you asked me to do, and then when the claim got there, you're like, nah, I don't think so. I changed my mind. It don't work that way. You can't do that. But they do because they can. Yeah, that was contradictory. Just exactly like a pre-approval or pre-authorization and then a denial. Oh my gosh. The average cost incurred by providers to fight these is about $44 per claim. Okay. Well, when you start looking at how many that is almost $20 billion a year just to adjudicate these claims. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And it's just a waste of money, right? Because we're talking about claims that end up getting approved anyway. How much so? The percentage of initial denials overturned by payer type. In other words, these were denied and then they were approved. In the commercial realm, 60.5% of denied claims are eventually approved. Medicare Advantage, 52.7%. Managed Medicare, 49.7%, Medicare, 50%, and Medicaid, 45.8%. Just an absolute waste of funds. It's a waste of all of our money because let's look down that line there, whether it's our tax money or else it's our wages, it is a waste of our money because it's just a process they want you to go through. Once again, look at this. And many times they've already approved the thing and then they still deny it. Absolutely ridiculous. You can see why there's been so much pushback in the last few months in particular. And of course, they focus mostly on Medicare Advantage, but Medicare Advantage denials, reversals are still not even as high as commercial. A lot of times, of course, there's nothing that the employer even knows about all these things. It's just their money being spent by whoever is administrating their plan. That money's being spent in the background. They never even knew it happened. It just adds to the cost of the plan because it's not being administrated well. We see this time and time again. Remember that insurance company is spending your money. It's your money, not theirs. They don't have any problem continuing to do that. What's even more awesome is whenever they also own the physician group that's denying it. So they're getting it both ways. And by not paying the claim, of course, they get to keep the money in their bank account longer and make more interest on their money. So it really makes a big deal when you have a very well managed plan. Once again, got questions about how to manage a plan better? Reach out to me. Be happy to talk to you about that. All right, moving on to our next story, which is now we're finally getting to what it was really all about, and that is United Healthcare is now investigating whether data was compromised. Wonder if that could have possibly happened. It's very interesting that I believe in many people's case, especially if you didn't have anything going on medically and you weren't worried about prescriptions and all this stuff, most folks were worried about this part right here. What happened to my data? Is it out there on the dark web now? Well, UHC says there's no evidence that any of that compromised data is out there at this time. But then they also are quoted as saying, this is taking time because Change Healthcare's own systems were impacted by the event and are difficult to access. Well, yeah, I would imagine they would be difficult to access, especially since we look at how much has been affected across the entire healthcare world when you look at the impact it has had on both insurance companies, hospitals, of course, physicians groups. But at the end of the day, the true impact to the American public is going to be, what about my data? What about all of my personal information and all my medical information? The stealing of someone's identity for medical is a huge issue in this country. Many folks don't realize that, but that is one of the top reasons why people's identity is stolen, is for medical purposes. So that's this can be a bigger deal than all the rest of it combined once we find out what the true impact of this was. So we'll keep you up to date with that as things go along there. All right. Well, I'll tell you, we knew this was coming, right? Just a short time ago, we've talked about it for the last couple of weeks, and CMS has allowed Wegovy. Well, first of all, FDA approved Wegovy as a medications for cardiac indicators for people that were overweight or obese. A week later, CMS says, all right, Part D will cover it. Well, now we're seeing that there are several insurers that are saying, yeah, we're going to go ahead and cover that. Some of them even immediately. Elevance Health, used to be Anthem, Kaiser Permanente, and then CVS have all said they will cover Wegovy, with Kaiser saying immediately, and then Elevance and CVS saying soon, or we're going to. They just haven't set a start date necessarily. But there is, of course, the caveat that they were going to cover it when it's used to reduce the risk of heart attack or stroke for Medicare members with cardiovascular conditions. Okay, this is a key thing. They've got to have something going on the cardio for that to be covered. Of course, remember, this medication can be $15,000, $16,000 per year. As far as how much it costs the plan, what it's going to look like on these, and at what tier level they're going to be. They haven't said that. Are they going to cover them as a preferred, as a preferred brand, a non-preferred brand, a specialty? Where are they going to fall on there? They did not indicate that. They just said that they would be covered under the plan. If you are a broker or you're somebody that actually uses a Part D plan or Medicare Advantage plan that includes prescription drug coverage, you know that can vary differently on what the out-of-pocket would be for someone if they need these medications. So it may be just some lip service, or it may really mean something, because if someone is really trying to get this medication, we'll see what it looks like whenever they have the opportunity and what the cost is going to be. But that once again is something we'll keep you up to date on as more companies look at it. United Healthcare had no comment about it, and Humana at this time was saying they're evaluating the new ruling. So there you go. There's a couple more of them that we'll do one way or the other coming up soon. All right, and finally, our final story for today is Walgreens got in the primary care business because they said, man, this is going to be a great idea. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. All right. I don't think they believe it's as awesome as they did previously. Whenever you see a 5.8 or almost $6 billion loss from something you believed was going to be a benefit to your folks, then I don't think you see the benefit of it anymore. The problem was the consumers didn't see the benefit of you having this service whenever it wasn't any different from the service that they were already getting. We keep seeing these large companies fail at primary care, and it's because they're not addressing what the real problem is, and that is doctors don't have time to listen to you. You have to wait long periods of time to see a doctor. When you do, all they want to do is give you medications and send you to a specialist. And if it doesn't develop that relationship with the doctor, if that's not what you're getting, then in many cases, people don't see any difference than what you're providing. Yes, in this way that it was set up, maybe you didn't have as long waits. And yeah, maybe it was real convenient to go while you were at the drugstore. But when you're not getting the kind of service and you're still not getting that relationship that people are longing for with their physician so that you can build that trust, it just makes it a difficult deal all around. And I just don't think that they have understood that. That's been a continuing problem with these big companies that have jumped into the primary care and not seen the results they were looking for. Direct primary care fixes these things. Direct primary care helps you build that relationship with a doctor. It changes everything for your health as well, because those doctors, they're not looking to send you to a specialist. They're looking to help take care of you and transform your health in a better way. It's interesting. The CEO of Walgreens, his comment after this was announced was, "We are continuing to strategically review our portfolio over the next 3 months in an effort to ensure it drives growth and delivers value." Well, you know what? That's what folks are looking for, right? They're looking for value. They really are. They're looking for value in their primary care. They're looking for value in their health care. And by having that relationship with your physician, you feel like you've got that. And that's just where they're missing the mark. In my opinion, that's where they're missing the mark, is they're not putting a strategy in place that really puts that out there, that puts the patient first, because the health plans should be built around the patient, not built around profit. All right, so we are going to jump into any questions or comments anyone has out there. Don't forget, you can put that right there in the chat and be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. All right, let's take a look over here. I am not seeing any comments or questions right now. Let's see here. No, all right, I don't see any questions or comments today. I do appreciate you guys being here. Once again, hope you have an extremely blessed week. Don't forget that if you want to listen to the latest podcast that I have put out, the Health and Wealth Power Hour, you can go out to hwpowerhour.com and you can subscribe there, or you can just listen to all the past episodes. We did have somebody say thank you for the insight. You're very welcome. I love doing this, and I sure appreciate any feedback you guys have. Hey, if you want some other things to be talked about, be sure and send that information to us as well. You can also, of course, comment in this event runs consecutively. You can just find that on LinkedIn. It'll still be out there. You can always put comments out there as well. Once again, appreciate everyone being with us today. Everyone have a super blessed week. We are out of here.